Story 1. My wife speaks highly of me in front of other people. I had never experienced that before and came from a toxic family, so I was used to hearing people speak negatively, if at all. We've been married 9 years, and I still get a lump in my throat when I hear her compliment me or hear secondhand that she spoke well of me to someone, especially if I wasn't there. Her mother told me that my wife said she should ask me for advice on an upcoming trip and that I am her favorite person to travel with because I put so much effort into researching places that it's like having a personal tour guide wherever we go. I got choked up. Even the time I accidentally overheard her tell her friend that I have great handwriting, I felt uplifted for a full day. Story 2. My girlfriend told me once, "I cannot solve every problem, but I know I can always be here for you when you need help." It really made me feel supported and loved. Story 3. My wife told me I looked good in my shirt today. I have been distracted all day. Story 4. My wife occasionally wakes me up in bed with a cup of coffee made just the way I like it. Every time she does that, I think, damn, she loves me. She also asks me questions about things I am passionate about, even if it is a simple video game. Story 5. You are making me feel like I want to be in a relationship again. You are so sweet. Story 6. When you are sitting next to her, and she places her head on your shoulder and smiles. Story 7. I really like how they exist. I mean, it is like the bare minimum, but it is pretty nice that they exist. Story 8. There are many moments like this, but today my dearly beloved came up behind me while I was sitting at the kitchen table, bent down, hugged me from behind, and stayed that way for a while. Story 9. 1. Laying on me, head on chest, in full comfort. 2. Shoulder rub to a draped hug. 3. Any affection for my thoughtfulness. Story 10. Asking how my day was at the end of the day and listening. Story 11. The look they give you lets you know you are their whole world. Story 12. My wife leaves me cute little notes or sometimes draws a little comic strip. Those always make my day. Story 13. My wife makes my lunch for work every day. It is such a sweet gesture of love. She keeps me humble. Story 14. My fiancé has given me flowers multiple times, and it made me want to cry. It is funny because, hypothetically, if you asked me if I wanted flowers, I would say, whatever. But when she actually gave them to me and made it clear they were for me, not for us, I had a strong emotional reaction. Story 15. This whole experience is delightful. I am truly enjoying reading everyone's comments. Story 16. When they invite me to hang out with them, it is nice when girls enjoy having you around. Story 17. Small thoughtful gestures like remembering your favorite coffee order or sending a sweet message. Story 18. After a long day of parenting our little one, she looks me in the eye and thanks me for being part of her life. No matter how many times I hear it, my heart melts and I just want to cry and hold her forever. She has given me a purpose to be better tomorrow than I was today. Story 19. Put in so much effort for us even when sometimes we are just not worth it. Story 20. I once went on a first date with a girl who was pretty fresh out of a long-term relationship a couple of years ago. She gave me flowers, which was the first time anyone had done that. She was talking about how most men receive flowers for the first time at their funeral. It did not work out, but that gesture stuck with me for sure. Story 21. I like little messages throughout the day. That's sweet. Or just asking how I am doing for whatever reason. That's sweet too. Also, I am disabled, so really any woman I ever see brings in more cash. And sometimes they buy me small things like a pizza, some weed, comics, or something. That's nice. Story 22. When she pretends to hate my dad jokes, saying, "Why did I have to choose you?" and "woe is me," but really loves them. Story 23. I am here to understand what interaction and engagement with women sound and feel like. Story 24. Anytime she touches me, just a hand on my shoulder or scooting close to me in bed, it makes me feel loved. Story 25. There are many things about my fiancée I absolutely adore, but if I had to narrow it down, I would say when she brings me home something small that made her think of me, or when she takes some of her personal time to pack my lunch for work with a note. Just thinking of my favorite things about her makes me even more grateful for her. Story 26. One time when I was feeling down and just sitting on the couch staring at the television screen, my girlfriend came home and saw I was just kind of zoning out. She asked what was wrong, and I said I was having a bit of a bad day. So she just sat with me, put her head on my shoulder and said, "Is this better?" And it was. Story 27. After a night of partying and me oversharing with my wife of 10 years, she sent me this text. "Hey, I love you. I know you were sorry for talking about the girls you missed because you weren't picking up on their flirts. I'm not upset. I know you had a life before me. I also know that I have the best version of you. I have the version that is mature enough to love me for me and to be loved for who you are. I get the you that's my best friend. I would have hated the kid you were, that was an asshole kid. I love the you I have, the loyal, supportive, hardworking, and loving man I get. I get to say that I am the only girl who gets that. I legitimately had to go to the truck on a job site because I got overwhelmed with emotion. She is amazing, and I love her for being that person." Story 28. I have been married for 22 years. I am very appreciative every time my wife wants to be intimate with me. I do not take it for granted. I receive it regularly and am thankful each time. Story 29. When they say what they mean directly and do not expect men to be mind readers or pick up on subtle hints. When they both verbalize and demonstrate appreciation for the things we do to make their lives better, and then reciprocate with an equal gesture. Story 30. At least for me, showing appreciation is not by saying thank you, but by acting like they truly appreciate what you do, such as hugging, kissing, or resting her head on my shoulder. Story 31. Right now, I am sitting on the couch. My wife is sleeping with her head on my chest. We do this often. In fact, for a while, it was every morning before work. I genuinely like it better than sex. Do not get me wrong, I will take the sex. But this is just the best feeling in the world. Story 32. Being appreciative for doing things, especially the big things. Story 33. This is not exclusive to women, but being more direct goes a long way. Story 34. Reading this as a woman is so sweet. Men, when in love, can be the most amazing thing on this planet. On the flip side, a heartbroken man is the most dangerous creature on the planet. Story 35. Never had this done to me, but I know every man in the world would love to have this done to them. Being told, "I am so glad you are in my life. It is a good thing we existed at the same time." Story 36. I had to wear a suit to work the other day. The men were complimentary, saying I looked dapper and smart. The ladies were also complimentary, saying, "Ooh, check you out." And, "I didn't know you scrub up so well." It was a good day. Well, until my boss said, "Have you been to court for crimes against fashion?" Story 37. When they verbally show appreciation for what I do, praise my skill at something, and express admiration and validation of the efforts I put into the relationship. Story 38. We came up north to help her great-grandparents with chores. She has been showing more affection overall. Her wanting to stay close and cuddly all the time makes my heart melt. She has also been more sentimental toward me, which I believe is because this is her granddad's last year. Story 39. Show interest in me. Not just attraction, but showing that they actually care. I like it when they talk to me first and ask about me or my day. It makes me feel appreciated. Story 40. Everything my wife does, I appreciate. She is amazing. Everything I ever needed and wanted. I love waking up to her and going to sleep with her every day, showing her how much I love her and how much love she deserves. She is my soulmate, my best friend, my everything, the best cook and lover I have ever had. I appreciate all she does for me, and I plan to return it all to her because she deserves it. She truly is my ride or die. She has always had my back and always will. I believe her. Story 41. Taking me seriously and listening when I explain something I am passionate about. Story 42. Playing with my hair and touching me randomly gets me every time. Being tactile is so important. Also, dressing up as a surprise when I get home from work shows confidence. Being desired at that level is top-tier living. Story 43. I would like to be hugged, not out of pity, but because I need comfort. I am not sure how to express this. Story 44. Random hugs, kisses, and compliments go a long way for me. Story 45. She says she misses me when she has literally been 2 feet away. It melts my heart every time. Story 46. When they look at you with admiration and play with their hair. When they spritz themselves with a pleasant fragrance and walk past you frequently. When a woman is comfortable in her clothing and body, and she rocks any look while looking her best. Story 47. Random touch or excitement when seeing me. It's been a while. Story 48. As a quiet-spoken man, early in my career I often struggled to get my voice out during meetings, especially on virtual calls where lag becomes an issue. People would interrupt me mid-sentence, talk over me, ignore my comments to make their point, or completely change subjects without acknowledging what I had said. I have found many women are very perceptive when this happens. They always make a point to revisit what I was saying or create space for me to speak. It is a kindness that makes me feel seen and heard. Story 49. Giving me some space after a rough day. Sometimes I do not need to talk about things right away. Story 50. Be reassuring. Many men tend to overthink everything when they are in a relationship. Story 51. There is an older lady in my workplace who works in a different department. I was there the other day picking something up, and I joked that I would be out of their way shortly. She stopped and said, "You are not in the way. You are just as important as everyone else, lovely." Just a small comment really had a big impact on me. Thanks, Sue. Story 52. Hug us. I know there are people who interpret hugs as sexual contact, but most of us just like getting a nice hug. Story 53. Hugs. Food. Letting us just relax and have peace and quiet for a while. Story 54. Initiate romance and make a man feel wanted. Women generally seem to have the idea that men are supposed to initiate everything, and it does not help men feel wanted physically or sexually. Story 55. As a gay and feminine man, women have been my best friends and my main source of support throughout my life. I would not be here if it were not for my girlfriends and the artists I admire and love so much. Story 56. My ex used to ask me about random things I told her. For example, if she called while I was going on a hike a few hours or days later, she would ask me details about it. I don't know, it made me feel important. Story 57. Reading through these comments, it is clear that the little things matter the most. Hugs, random kisses, compliments, or something they said. I share the same feelings. I can only speak for myself when I say that I long for such gestures from a loved one, and therefore even the slightest affection gives me immense pleasure. However, I cannot stop wondering if that is how humans are or if society conditions men to have low expectations. Story 58. Dropping mild sexual innuendos. Nothing overly suggestive, but just enough to show that she is a cool woman who doesn't take herself too seriously. Story 59. When they just walk over with their chests exposed, it brightens my day. Story 60. When you are as comfortable together as an old pair of slippers. After 42 years of marriage, we still hold hands like we did when we first dated. She accepts my faults and I accept hers. It helps that she is a better person than I am. Story 61. Just a genuine, heartfelt, innocent smile at me is kind of amazing. Story 62. Initiating intimacy. In every relationship I have been in, I have always been the one to try to get things going. I have often wondered if it is the man's job to always start things. Story 63. When they do just a tiny bit of makeup. Emphasis on a tiny bit. Like 5 minutes of effort at most. My girlfriend is so naturally beautiful, but when she just puts on a tiny bit of blush and mascara, it feels special and she looks amazing. Story 64. Catching her looking at me longingly as I do things randomly around the yard, house, or elsewhere. Feels good to feel noticed and appreciated, even in just that moment. Story 65. The girl I am seeing snuggles up to me often. She also plays with my hair while we cuddle and always runs her hands up and down my back. She is really good at it, too. Seriously makes me feel relaxed. I have never felt anything like it before. Story 66. Running up and hugging me. Spontaneous intimacy and taking the lead. Telling me how to help her climax. sharing her sexual fantasies with me, undressing me before getting into bed, wanting to try new things in bed, talking dirty to me. Story 67. Understanding. I'm not hitting on you. I just find you interesting and want to invite you out for a walk and some coffee. It's rare, but I understand the trust issues. Story 68. I do not need anything from a woman except unprovoked touch. I cook and clean my own things. I do not need a woman to do chores for me. I work hard. All I need is for a girl to grab me and kiss me without me having to do it myself. Story 69. Little token gestures like a very quick call at work when she thinks you might be having a bad day. Coming to us once in a while with a soda and, God forbid, a sandwich when we're doing yard work or taxes. No, we won't think you're our kitchen or snack slave for doing it. Or sending something to us at home or at work on Valentine's Day. The world seems full of women who think we constantly need to remind them they are wanted, cherished, and desirable, and who are fine with the idea that if they reciprocate about 10% of the effort we give them, then that's somehow a fair trade. Story 70. Extremely supportive and does not hold back her affection. I do not know what I would do without her. Story 71. Being left alone when I am busy instead of interrupting me. Story 72. My fiancée stops whatever she is doing and runs over to the door to give me a hug and kiss and say goodbye whenever I leave for work. She also buys a snack or drink I really like when she does grocery shopping and puts it on my desk so I see it the next time I sit down. Story 73. Many women endure days of painful monthly cramping, bleeding, diarrhea, stress, and cultural and psychological challenges from puberty into their 50s and sometimes later, just for the possibility that they could choose to give their body over for 40 weeks and their lives over for more than 20 years to perpetuate our species. Even if they choose not to have children, I will never truly know what it is like to be one of them, and I carry a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for these people. Story 74. I love it when a woman offers to engage in intimate activities before I have to awkwardly ask if she is interested. Story 75. I appreciate her attention to detail in cleaning the house. When I have a little fun, I sometimes throw things around the house, like panties, socks, and jeans. Any other woman would have scolded me long ago for this. But my beloved did not say a word, although I understand that I am wrong. Spoiler: I don't do this anymore. Story 76. I am amazed and incredibly thankful that women, human works of art, for some reason find men attractive. Story 77. Listening to me talk about random subjects, even though she knows nothing about the Ming Dynasty, made me happy knowing she would at least pretend to listen to my interest in history. Story 78. Insisting I eat something. I don't know, somebody caring that I ate warms my spirit for some reason. Story 79. The way she makes an effort to include me in decisions and values my opinions. Story 80. When they come back from the store or from going somewhere and bring you your favorite snack or something small that you never told them you like but they already knew because they pay attention. Story 81. Staying loyal to me and loving me even though the first few years of our relationship were really hard because I needed to grow as a person and we rushed into it. There were many times it would have been easy to leave me for someone who would do more than the bare minimum. I have grown so much as a person since being with her in 2019. I am proud to call her my wife. I love her deeply and worry about her every day because I don't want to live in a world where she is not by my side. Story 82. My boyfriend appreciates me because I always help him stay calm and avoid getting angry or overly excited. Story 83. I get restless, so she will create a problem that needs solving or requires something done around the house or an errand, which sometimes has an easy or obvious solution, and let me work on it or go do whatever needs to be done. Story 84. I was dealing with some heavy family stuff. I was in tears sitting on the couch. She sat down next to me, put her arm around me and just held me. She said, "We will get through this together." I already knew that, but hearing her say it made me melt into her and start crying more. Story 85. Being quiet. I do not mean that in a misogynistic way, implying that women will never stop talking. I mean that when she can just sit with me in companionable silence and not feel the need to talk just to fill the space between us, that is such a beautiful thing and means the world. Story 86. Everyone is talking about what they appreciate about their significant other. I will go in a different direction. I appreciate working with women. I am painting with broad strokes here, but on average, women tend to be more thoughtful and intentional with their work, while men can often be thoughtless and haphazard. That is just my experience, though. Story 87. Compliment me. Whether it is how much weight I have lost, certain types of clothing that fit my style, or even my smile, things like that go a long way. Have a good day, everyone. Story 88. When they are a fully grown adult and want you to tuck them into bed like children. Story 89. When she hugs me after coming back from a long day at work. Story 90. I appreciate the small things like delivering an outstanding speech at the Democratic National Convention, solidifying her victory in November, and removing the other candidate once and for all. Also, I feel tension at the back of my neck. Story 91. When she buys me a Lego Star Wars Venator-class Star Destroyer with built-in lighting, I feel loved. Story 92. My wife encourages me with everything I do and listens to me when I talk about those things, even if she is not completely interested. Hobbies, work, and so on. Story 93. My best friend is a girl, and I really appreciate how she listens to me rant about my problems. I am someone who likes to talk about the things I am interested in. She has told me that she enjoys listening to me talk about how internet systems and such work. Story 94. Accept that you are not always emotionally stable and that you can get upset. Story 95. I really appreciate how they accepted that children can be annoying and continue preserving the human race without any need for central authority or government. Story 96. I work in IT support, and when a female customer has an issue that I have to solve, it tends to be easier since women tend to listen more to my directions to resolve the issue. Most of them do not try to click on random things and go off the laid-out path. This makes it much easier and faster to resolve the issue. Story 97. We will be walking alongside each other, and without me indicating anything, she will suddenly reach out to grab my hand. Story 98. I'm sorry, but these are so sweet. I did many of the things you mentioned to my ex. Gave him flowers, was there for him, helped him with laundry without being asked, let him tell me about his passion for video games, had regular sex without him asking, surprise oral sex, and more. I know I'm not perfect, but did I date the wrong guy or something? I feel like I did. Story 99. Show that she trusts you. It is so liberating when you do not have to constantly prove yourself to her. Not sure it counts as a little thing. Story 100. Just be genuine. I have had a few adult girlfriends who treat love like their 12-year-old interpretation of it. Do not pretend. Be real. Story 101. I appreciate all the effort they put into looking good. Taking care of themselves, moisturizing, applying makeup, waxing or shaving, and doing their hair. I understand it is only partially to attract men or women, but it is still a lot of work and should be acknowledged. Story 102. My girlfriend will flash me randomly. These are moments of yes, we are adults, but still horny kids. Story 103. My first and only real crush in high school was very touchy. For example, leaning on me, hugs, finding ways to get close, and so on. Luckily for me, that always released my oxytocin and dopamine and felt like a hug for my frostbitten heart. It will always be a go-to example when discussing my best feelings. The thought alone still brings some of those chemicals to me even now. Later in life, when I delved into addiction, I naively believed the popular pain pills had to be related. They were not. But it was that good and better in many ways, probably because I did not get nauseous, emotionally dulled, or have constipation for weeks. Story 104. A female barista put a heart in my cappuccino. That was nice. Story 105. One of the favorite things a woman has ever done for me was by my ex-wife. I had casually mentioned once that I had plans to go to medieval times for my 14th birthday. My brother got sick that day, and we could not go. I lamented the fact that I never got to go. She surprised me that year by taking me to medieval times on my birthday. Story 106. Show interest in anything we enjoy. Fantasy football, video games, cooking, or whatever. Story 107. My wife, whom I have known since 8th grade in 1986, has always made me feel more loved than anyone, including my parents. She has always been my anchor. I cannot fully explain why, but I know it is an amazing feeling to truly understand love and support. I hope and try every day to make her feel the same way. I do not deserve her. My only regret is that it took us 30 years to overcome our stubbornness and get married. It has been one remarkable journey. Story 108. I'm a big sap sometimes. I get a bit teary when I see a happy or sad story about a cat or dog, or when people talk about pets they have loved in the years gone by. The other day, I read a story about a dog that made me miss my old Labrador. When my wife noticed, she sat with me on the couch and held me until I felt better. She is the best thing that ever happened to me. Story 109. Random hand jobs, finishing or not. I really appreciate it. Story 110. When girls pick up their pants and do that hip shake dance. Story 111. I've been told by my significant other that he loves that I am affectionate, listen to him, and speak highly of him to everyone. Another thing I didn't realize about myself is that when he travels for work, I make it easy for him to leave, which makes him more eager to come home. His ex would have a crisis or 5 before he even got out the door, so I understand that to some degree. He said it allows him to focus on his work without nagging guilt. What he still doesn't fully realize is that I know he is an amazing partner, even though he has been told otherwise many times before me. Hey, significant other, you are one of the most wonderful men in the universe. So there. Story 112. This happens so rarely that I cannot think of any real-world examples. Story 113. I had a girlfriend sew a patch on my ripped jeans. She didn't ask, she just did it. I thought it was the sweetest thing ever. Story 114. I was at the grocery store, and a man nearby called his wife about something. She answered, "Hi, honey." I almost told him that he still has it. For some reason, their exchange brightened my day. Story 115. Taking the time to remember a small detail about you, your interests, or your day. Story 116. Random affection or compliments, random hugs and cuddles. It is so simple to please a man. Story 117. Compliments, saying, "I miss you," approval of my hobbies or interests, and overall just being there. Being able to tell them everything and knowing you will not be judged. Story 118. I loved when my ex-partners plucked my eyebrows, played with my long hair while my head rested on their laps, traced circles on my back, did my makeup, and styled my hair to look like their favorite pop culture and gaming characters. Story 119. Touch of any kind. Little notes or doodles. Kind words. Words of encouragement. Story 120. When I am not overlooked by them, which is rare, unfortunately. Story 121. Reading comments gives me hope that someday someone will also appreciate and value me. I love reading the comments. Story 122. One thing I thought was adorable was when my ex-wife would get jealous and try to get me to pay more attention to her whenever I got a new Assassin's Creed game. I rarely spent more than 2 hours playing any other games, but I am a massive Assassin's Creed fan and would spend days playing it. Of course, I would never argue if she or anyone else asked me to do something while playing, but she was much nicer to me during that time. I miss that. Story 123. Most men are so starved for attention that even the slightest bit of it makes them appreciate everything. Story 124. Stay with me during my lows. None of my female friends have ever abandoned me during my mental breaks. They are always there. Story 125. That cute little face she makes when she is licking my testicles. Story 126. When I am not bothered while trying to do work around the house. Story 127. I do not know, but it has only been 6 months since I received a compliment from someone. One could say I am a heartthrob. Story 128. When I see my favorite food on the table, I suppose it brings joy. Just coming back from work and seeing your favorite food is the best feeling ever. Story 129. I love it when I am driving or just sitting down, and she places her hand on my neck to say, "I love you." Story 130. Caress our back or head and pull us closer when relaxing. Story 131. When we can talk about nothing and a woman is genuinely curious about my interests. It is a shame life separated us due to circumstances. I know she is doing great things now. Story 132. My wife plays nerdy board games with our sons and me, even some she does not really like, referring to the games, not the sons. Story 133. When I say, "Who has the biggest banana in the jungle?" And she says, "You have the biggest banana in the jungle." Story 134. Appreciation, sense of humor, courteous, communication with clear intentions and no hint-dropping games. How much time do we have? Story 135. I like how they try to hide their flatulence from us. Adorable. Story 136. When she praises me to others by saying I have been a great father. Story 137. For me, it is short messages about what they are doing or if they experience something that reminded them of me. I love it when you grow all those small inside jokes and stories. Story 138. All the hugs and cuddles I could ever want. In return, I keep her as happy as I can. Story 139. A girlfriend I had 23 years ago randomly came to my work and brought me a sandwich. I still remember that fondly. Story 140. I like to be anonymous, just minding my own business undisturbed. That is why I appreciate how women always ignore my existence. Story 141. I am not a romantic person, but I made my boyfriend a cake, gave him a small gift, and sang to him for his birthday a few months into our relationship. Despite it being a box cake and something I ordered online, the whole arrangement took me nearly the entire day. He cried when he saw it. He said he had never had a girlfriend do anything like that for him. I felt sad for his past and happy that I could bring him so much joy. Story 142. My girl brings me coffee a couple of times a week, and honestly, it is the best part of my week. She does not do anything special. I started drinking black coffee a few years ago for the lack of fat and sugar, so it is literally the simplest coffee you can make. But she goes out of her way to make it for me and brings it without asking, and it makes me fall in love all over again every single time. Story 143. Just being acknowledged for existing is hard to come by. Story 144. Give me a genuine compliment. We receive them so rarely. Story 145. Not in a relationship, but when they touch you randomly during conversation or if they sleep on your shoulder. Happened to me on a bus on my way to a choir competition. I felt so loved even though I am single. Story 146. When I get back from the gym, she literally notices that I am getting bigger. Story 147. Random genuine compliments. Do not lie, we know when compliments are fake. Story 148. My wife sometimes brings me a pastry while I am working, and it always makes me feel good. Story 149. Just be there and listen if I am talking about something, even if they are disinterested. Story 150. Receiving spontaneous compliments. Allowing me to rest on their lap and gently caressing my hair while I lie there. Story 151. I like when they dress up nicely, from latex dominatrix to ball gown princess. Story 152. Compliments. The small things really add up. Cards, flowers, little notes on mirrors. Story 153. Compliments. The small things really add up. Cards, flowers, little notes on mirrors. Story 154. Any compliment, no matter how small. Story 155. While we are sitting next to each other or cuddling, running her nails up and down my arm, it feels so good, relaxing, loving, and intimate. Also, if I am getting a bit agitated over something and she gently puts her hand on my arm, it is very calming. Story 156. When you are having a bad day and someone brings you a snack or a treat unexpectedly along with a hug. Story 157. A gentle back scratch puts me in the best possible place inwardly. Story 158. Where is the man from the male version of this question? I need his pen. Story 159. I took a nap at my girlfriend's house once. She woke me up with roasted London broil. It was the best thing I have ever woken up to. Story 160. Make a grocery list. When I have an 80-hour week, help with laundry. Evening dog walk. Let me grab my shoes to go with you all. Story 161. They use fragrance to smell nice, especially in their hair. Story 162. The fact that she appreciates me and what I do to protect and provide for her. She does not try to change me. Story 163. If a child is funny, it is surprising how these beaches out here are not funny at all but pretend to be. Story 164. My girlfriend told me yesterday, the older you get, the more handsome you become. After I sent her a random selfie of myself working, it gave me a huge smile for the rest of the day. Story 165. Give out compliments. I truly appreciate that, and I think I can confidently say all men appreciate it. Story 166. Almost all of you smell really good. The products women use are either more fragrant or smell more pleasant than men's products. Story 167. My wife will put her feet on me in bed when we are falling asleep, largely because she knows it irritates me. On nights when she does not do it, I miss it. Story 168. When she goes shopping, she gets me random things she knows I like and hides them for me to find, like my favorite yogurt. I do the same for her because she is a sweetheart, and I like how excited she gets over small things. Story 169. Humming. I love when women are lost in thought and just hum a little tune. Story 170. Baking cookies for me, comforting me, playing with my hair. Story 171. A friend took me on a road trip and bought me ice cream. I am still looking for the opportunity to do something nice for her. Story 172. We honestly appreciate receiving recognition for our efforts, and if you also take initiative to contribute. Story 173. My wife names my freckles, belly button, and other body parts. It makes me feel loved. Story 174. My girlfriend randomly bought me flowers once. I am still riding that high. Story 175. A smile for me, a hug for me, and I saw this and it made me think of you. Unfortunately, it has been far too long since I have had any of these. Story 176. When they opt out of watching a movie or whatever, turn to you, snuggle, and have an I'm good snooze. Story 177. My girlfriend constantly does little things when she thinks about me and to make my life easier. I had to put my cat down last year due to her not doing well after a cancer diagnosis. I mentioned how it's harder to fall asleep. She got me a weighted stuffed cat similar in weight to my cat. She does my dishes and makes my bed for me when she spends the night, especially after I have a rough day at work. She constantly compliments me and tells me how attractive she finds me. She is always a supportive and rock-solid foundation for me. It is not one single thing she does. It is her entire being of little things. Story 178. Showing interest in my hobbies. Singing along with me if the lyrics match what we are doing. Story 179. One time 4 years ago in an elevator, a beautiful woman told me I smelled nice. I am still riding that high. Story 180. I cannot think of anything because they never do anything nice for me. Story 181. If you want to have sex, just ask directly like men do instead of giving unclear signals. Trust me, men never reject that. Story 182. A single compliment of any nature will stay with a man forever. Story 183. My wife packs my lunch every day before I leave for work. She does many other countless things for me. She is an angel. I cannot tell her enough how much I appreciate the little things she does. Story 184. Loved and wanted, your choice how you want to show it. I think we all love everything. Story 185. I am a coffee lover, and my wife occasionally drinks tea. We have a thermos that we use to store hot water. Ever since we bought it, I have never once filled it with hot water. Story 186. Oh, the second year with my partner. I bought him cake and a book he had been talking about. I have never seen anyone so giddy. Only after did I realize his phone had been silent. We met the year before at a liquor store on his birthday. He was alone and tipsy, and I was buying a six-pack for a party. I always spoil him on his birthday but never invite anyone. He becomes childlike, and it makes me want to hold him and never let go. Story 187. These responses are so great. I am single at present and am thinking about dating again but feeling unsure. These responses are very reassuring to me that men do appreciate the little things I love to do. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.